Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Draft FPL. Welcome back to a weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. Blank game week 29 is upon us. There's only 4 fixtures to choose from. A lot of people are looking at their team thinking I've only got 1 or 2 players, so this is a kind of week where your waivers are key. Let's get stuck straight into it. First up then, we start with defenders, and I'm going for Rorslev of Brentford first of all, available in 96% of draft leagues, and that data is powered by draftfc.co.uk. As always, link down below in the description. Try it for free for 1 month with code SNAKEDRAFT. Very useful draft tool. Looking at Rorslev in particular, I think there's not many clean sheets available this week. It's a really tough week to call. All the matches look pretty close. All the defences on offer are pretty terrible, so I think there's not many picks. I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's no clean sheets at all this week, I'll put it that way. So looking at the defenders, I've tried to go with players that have a little bit more attacking threat, because I think you're more likely to get a return this week from an attacking return than you are from a clean sheet. Having said that, Burnley are the worst attack of all the teams on offer, so it probably does make sense to go in with a Brentford defender and just hope that Burnley don't get a goal. When looking at the Brentford defence, I do think the wing-backs are the best choice. Rorslev and Reguilón are the 2 that I'd be looking at. Reguilón did miss the last game through injury, but I think he's probably going to be back. He's been back in full training since Tuesday, which is probably long enough to get straight back in the team. So either Reguilón or Rorslev seem like good options. They both get forward quite a lot. Reguilón, we know, has a decent history of attacking returns in FPL, and Rorslev doesn't do too badly on that front either. The fixtures after Burnley aren't great. United at home, Brighton away, Villa away is all kind of a bit mixed. So I'd probably just go for the 1 week punt, and at least it's unlikely that Burnley get more than 1 goal, even if they do score, because their attack is just terrible. So at least if you're bringing them in for someone that blanks, is pretty much a guaranteed +2 points. So that is at least the minimum you should get, and he does have that attacking upside, as I said earlier. Next up, we've got Dragusin of Spurs, available in 97% of leagues. At the time of recording, there's not really much information on Van de Ven's injury, but it seems to me like he's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks. When we look at Spurs fixtures coming up, if you can snag a Spurs defender for the next, and if he keeps his place for the next 4, you could be in luck here. Fulham away, Luton at home, West Ham away, Forest at home is a really, really good run for Spurs, and basically the more fixtures you can get, the better. So I do think it's probably a good idea to bring Dragusin in, who looks like he's going to be Van de Ven's replacement, available in 97% of leagues at the moment. Spurs defence isn't great, but these fixtures are really nice, and I do think it's worth jumping on the chance that they do keep a couple of clean sheets, and at least they do play in game week 29 as well, which is a bonus. Fulham away is not the easiest fixture, and I probably do fancy Fulham to score in this one, but as I said, I don't think there's many clean sheets to be found anyway. Next up, we've got Vitinho of Burnley, available in 100% of leagues. Not normally a fan of picking Burnley defenders, and I do think Brentford likely score in this game, but you never know. And Vitinho is playing out of position. He is a defender in the game, but he's playing right side of midfield at the moment, right wing. So I think he's probably, as I said earlier, if you're looking for attacking upside, he's definitely got it. Playing in an advanced position, definitely playing much further forward than anyone else on this list, so is one to consider if you're thinking of going a bit rogue. Plus the rest of your league probably aren't going to be going for any Burnley defenders, so it does give you that upside. If they do manage to sneak a clean sheet against Brentford at home, which isn't impossible, you're probably the only one bagging that clean sheet with Vitinho. So I think he's quite a fun pick, quite a bit different. It's not many game weeks where you get to pick a player like this, because there's normally so many better options, but with the blank, I think he's probably worth a punt. And finally, we've got Nico Williams, available in 98% of leagues, has pretty much nailed down the right side of defence role for Forest in recent weeks. He's got consistent minutes, so I think he's going to keep his place, been playing okay. Forest defensive numbers under Nuno have actually been really good, so I think they're actually probably a sneaky outside chance of a clean sheet against Luton this week, although Luton, have actually scored a lot of goals over the last couple of months. So I think it's one of the more likely clean sheets, but as I said earlier, I don't think there are many on offer this week, and Williams does get forward a little bit. We've seen attacking returns from him in the past. I think he's probably my favourite pick of the Forest defence, and if you get lucky you could get a decent little return out of him this week. What I will say as well is, their defensive numbers have been good, and I would actually probably hold Williams through 29, 30 and 31. I've just realised I've misnumbered the fixtures, but that's okay. So game week 30 is Palace, game week 31 is Fulham, and I do think that I would hold Williams through these three because they are a nice little set of fixtures. Okay, then on to midfielders. First up, we've got Papsar, available in 87% of leagues. And as I said earlier, Spurs have got a great run of fixtures, starting with Fulham this week. Then it's Luton, West Ham and Forest. Sar's been playing pretty well lately, been getting forward a little bit more than we've seen for the majority of this season. Did really well in the game last week, and I think it's probably a decent time to get on board with him. Having Maddison back in the team alongside him really does help, and I think there's going to be goals for Spurs in this period. So if I can get a central midfielder off the waivers, I think it's not a bad idea. He's obviously not the most attacking player in this team, but when you're looking around at the options at the moment, I think he could be definitely one to jump on. Next up, we've got Brian Mbeumo, available in 44% of leagues. Obviously been out injured for the last few months, but there is a bit of information that he is back in training. Do I think he starts this week against Burnley? No. Do I think he comes off the bench? Again, probably no. I don't think he'll be in the squad, but there is an outside chance that he could be. But the main reason I'd be getting him in is looking for game week 30 and beyond for the run-in. He was an unbelievable asset earlier in the season. Having Tony back alongside him may well help him out, because Tony has that fantastic hold-up play that Mbeumo can play off of. So definitely someone I'll be looking to get in where I can. And if you're dropping someone that doesn't have a fixture in game week 29 anyway, it's not even really that much of a downside, because you're probably going to be upgrading. Even if you drop like a fourth midfielder that doesn't have a fixture this week, you're getting someone in that's probably going to outperform that from game week 30 onwards. So I think it's definitely the week to pick him up. As I said, it's an international break next week. By the time game week 30 rolls around, he probably will be fit and back ready to start for Brentford. So I think now is the time to get him in. Next up, we've got Souček, available in 45% of leagues. Kind of mixed fixtures for West Ham, and Villa at home this week isn't the best of the bunch, but it's probably going to have goals in it. Villa's defence has been pretty poor. West Ham's defence has been pretty poor. I think both teams will probably have a bit of a go here, and it kind of suits West Ham that Villa will probably want to get on the ball a little bit more, and West Ham can hit them on the counter-attack. And I think Souček is a decent pick in this kind of fixture. We know he likes to arrive late in the box and try and get on the end of stuff, and he's a threat from set pieces as well, which is the kind of scenarios that West Ham are going to look to threaten Villa with. So I think he's not a bad option, available in 45% of leagues, so he's pretty widely available. Someone I definitely look to get in for the blank game week. Next up, we've got Callum Hudson-Odoi, available in 63% of leagues. He is probably my second favourite, or maybe even my third favourite Forest midfielder. I think Elanga is the best of the bunch, followed by Morgan Gibbs-White, followed by Callum Hudson-Odoi, but Callum Hudson-Odoi is the one with the most availability. I personally think all three of these will start. We did see a bit of rotation in their previous game, but I personally think they will go back in, because they really didn't look as good as they have recently with Callum Hudson-Odoi and Elanga both in the front three. So I think that's what we'll see against Luton, and they could well have some joy. Luton's defence is terrible. The fact that Luton play with a back five means that the wide players of Forest will be isolating the back three of Luton in 1v1s in wide areas, which is generally a recipe for a few attacking returns from the wingers. So I think this is a really good fixture for Callum Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, especially. Gibbs-White's guaranteed minutes and on pens as well, so he makes a lot of sense too. And as I said earlier, the fixtures after game week 29, game week 30 and game week 31 are both really good as well. Palace at home, Fulham at home. So I think it is a really good time to pick up one of these Forest mids. The last mid I've got for you today is Harry Wilson, old favourite, available in 92% of leagues. If you think there's going to be goals in this Fulham Spurs game, which I personally do, then it probably makes sense to go with one of the Fulham boys that can do a bit of damage. Muniz is a good option as well, but he's quite widely owned in the forward category. Out of the mids, for me, it's probably Harry Wilson or Alex Iwobi. I think those two are the pick of the bunch in terms of form and confidence at the moment. They're both playing in kind of a similar role getting into the box quite frequently, and I think they could have some joy against this high line of Spurs, especially if Van de Ven's out, because they miss out on his recovery pace. So I think Wilson and Iwobi both very good picks this week. They do have Sheffield United in game week 30 as well, Fulham, so it's probably a good little 2 game weeks to pick one of them up and roll them into game week 30 in that great fixture as well. So I think one of these boys is a good shout this week. On to Forzen and Chris Wood, available in 61% of leagues. I don't really have complete confidence that he's going to start this week. I think he's probably in slightly better form than Awoniyi, available in 61% of leagues, and if he does get the nod against Luton, I think he's a really, really good pick. So I probably will just take the risk and go for him, and hopefully he does keep his place in the team. Awoniyi's not been fantastic, and he's struggled with injury recently, so I think it's probably slightly more likely that Chris Wood starts. As I said earlier, if he does start and play well, Palace at home, Fulham at home coming up in the next 3 looks really good too. So it's a bit of a hit and hope, but this is the kind of week where that's definitely not a bad strategy. And finally, we've got Fofana of Burnley, available in 58% of leagues. Brentford at home this week, and he's on a bit of goal scoring form and looks like someone that actually wants to score goals, whereas most of the Burnley attacking players just want to sort of play pretty patterns, and none of them seem to really have any cutting edge, whereas Fofana definitely wants to get on the end of stuff, and that makes him a little bit more exciting from a fantasy perspective, in my opinion. So I don't think Brentford at home's a bad fixture. I think they probably score in this game despite how bad their attacking data has been this season, and if they do get a goal, I think Fofana is the most likely man to be on the end of it. So not a bad pick for this game week, and if he does get a bit of form, could be an okay third forward option. Available in 58% of leagues. I think that number will go down quite significantly this week with the blanks. Okay, that wraps up my picks for game week 29. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, check out draftfpl.co.uk and my personal Patreon in the link down below. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.